any stage in their development. They will take titles which are basically completed, and all they need to do is be top and tailed and put on the service, or they will take titles that are very much at the pitch, the pitch stage, maybe a video and a document. But obviously, the more you have to show, the better chances you have, and we'll talk about that in just a second. And I should mention also that, as a slight aside, as I mentioned earlier, I used to work for Lionhead, and I was a lead on the first Fable game, and I watched what MGS can do when they care about your title. It's a force of nature. It was like the eye of Sauron just lights upon you. We went from a studio that were having a really hard time with a great game, and suddenly Microsoft came along and said, right, we've decided this is going to be, we care about this, and the forces descended, and it was an astonishing thing to see what an organisation like Microsoft can do. And it is no lie to say that is exactly why I work for Microsoft, is because of that experience. Microsoft really do know games. It's an incredibly, it's a very. I'm proud to work for Microsoft Gaming, definitely, which is probably not the coolest thing to say ever, but it is actually true. Okay, so. The second path is going through third-party publishers. Now, right. So first party is what we talk about as being the publisher, the publishing part of the platform. That's first party. Third party is is independent publishers. What a funny word to use today. Independent publishers who we have a relationship on the platform, and they are sort of authorized to publish stuff. So. They still do need platform approval from the Xbla portfolio people, but we trust those guys. We have very strong relationships. Like I say, that's the department I work in. So if a third-party publisher is interested in your game, then we almost certainly will also be interested in your game. Now, your business development person needs to earn their money here. They need to use their networking skills, and by that I mean their people skills, not the networking skills that they do on Wednesdays and Tuesdays, the networking skills that they use to implement the multiplayer code when they're not doing the business development on Thursdays and Fridays. But they need to do that to gain those relationships, develop those relationships with constantly understanding what the publishers are looking for. So third parties offer a comparable publishing service in terms of the stages and the steps and the services as MGS do. Again, localization is certain, things like that. And again, it's up to you to talk with them and present your game at different stages and depending on whatever stage it's at, and see what kind of a deal you can strike with them. But the deals are there to be done. They different in some ways. They will have their own portfolio. If MGS aren't interested in your title, it could just be because there's a clash, or it's just not they have sort of not slots as such, but they have each publisher will have a certain number of games that they're interested in, or genres that they're interested in, or even IPs that they are looking for people to develop for, and you might be by developing a relationship with those publishers, you can get that information and get that inside track and be able to talk to them in terms that they're going to be interested in. I'd also, it can be the case that publishers will sometimes offer you their IP as an opportunity to do an XBLA game. It's not often, it's not common, and as an independent developer, it doesn't sound like the most independent thing ever. But I'd certainly recommend you think about that, because it can be a tremendous. It can be a tremendous experience. It can be a good way of getting some pretty much guaranteed success. Not quite the word I'd use, maybe not guaranteed, but it's a good chance of success. And as Margaret also was saying earlier, there is nothing creatively limiting about working with somebody's IP any more than the rectangular frame around a painting is a creative limitation. It's just you need those limitations to be creative. You have to. Creativity is all about limits. Okay, so and an independent, whether you work with the first parties or the third parties, you've still got the publishers. I'm sort of flying the flag for publishers slightly here, but they do have years of experience. Their business is all about working out what a hit looks like and helping you be that, or helping you achieve that. These guys are there by definition to help your game be successful. So if you're talking to publishers and that maybe two or more publishers say no to your game, there is at least the possibility that your game isn't good enough for that service. It may be that there may be other services that it will work with, but you just bear that in mind. And as a developer, of course, your work doesn't stop just because you have a publisher in the picture. It doesn't mean that you aren't still capable of doing some of your own marketing. You can still build your community around your game, and some of the same things apply that we're applying on other platforms. And also keep your options open. All the while that you're talking to publishers, talk to lots of publishers, talk to all of them. Don't get too far down the road with one, only at the expense of the others, only to find that one suddenly dries up. So I'm going to really not doing too well for timing. Okay, so if you're pitching your game, this is a picture of a games development studio that I found on the internet. If you are any one of these people, I apologize. It seems to be pretty common. I'm probably not the first person to give you advice on pitching games to publishers, but it's pretty important. So let me just add my tuppence to the mix. Above all, it's your job to sell your game to the publisher in the shortest possible time. Get them interested very, very quickly, because they will make they will almost certainly make their decision in the first couple of minutes. And if you can't get the publisher interested with 2 minutes of dedicated attention, then you realise that you're asking an audience who's flicking through an online marketplace to see some much less information and be interested in your game. They see pitches like yours thousands of times a year, including several games probably quite a lot like yours. So you need to get to the point very quickly, understand what it is that makes your game interesting. They will not read huge documents. If they won't read more than 5 or 10 pages of a document, almost certainly, so just don't give them one. They shouldn't have to read it. Your game should be more self-explanatory than that, or more easily explained. Showing your game is better than telling them about your game. If a picture paints 1,000 words and a video paints 24,000 words a second, right? And a demo, to torture that metaphor a little bit further, when you add in the controller feedback and the way the camera moves when you do things, is a library's worth. So the trouble is, obviously, while you're doing that, make sure some of those 1,000 words aren't, ooh, oh, or oh dear. Don't want that. So don't show them the video and then have them leave thinking worse about the game than when they came in. It needs to show the cool stuff in the game in a sort of coherent structure. It needs to show the sort of high concept. What's this game about? Show a little bit about the mechanics, about the art style, and the character, and the controls, and the camera, and all the things that make it fun. Again, thinking about the Trials HD example, I can just see that, in fact, they already had a PC version of that game, and 2 minutes with that game, you understand immediately what it is, and hopefully, it looked like they liked it. Also, if your design, okay, we're creative people here. We are all about creating new things. Creativity involves risk. It's two sides of the same coin. Now, there's nothing wrong with risk, but you have to manage it. And your demo and your pitch needs to show what is risky about your game and why it's risky and what you're going to do about it. And if your demo can show how you've de-risked lessen those risks, then you're onto a bit of a winner. Know thy market. Yeah, who's going to buy your game, and why are they going to buy your game? What do they look like in a game like this, and how are you accommodating those needs? How much does it cost to make a game like this? And how does your budget compare to that cost? Now, you don't know what, developers and publishers don't publish the lists of how much it costs to make all these games, but you can use that on the